true legend. He's a king. He's a master.
There's a campaign at the moment to try and get a statue to him in Newcastle.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be a good idea?
He's more than that. This ground needs to be named after him. The whole place needs to be named after Sir Bobby Robson. He's a legend. Good dude.
Local hero. He's a legend. He was born and bred to be manager of this club. And like one of his interviews, when he was saying how proud his father would be to know that one of his sons was manager. Just perfect. Would just be a perfect way to honour his memory.
Because he's a legend, and he will stay as a legend.
He did for Newcastle United what nobody else that I can remember has done. And I'm just going to miss him.
Well, I'll certainly remember him as a kind, caring, considerate, honest, very, very hard-working man. Gracious in defeat, I think is very important. As tough as it was for him, but he was a great man. And
Bobby was like my second dad. I was like his son to him. I've had loads of texts from football players, managers, everybody. Just stay strong. I can't describe how much he meant to me, and I've just been crying for three hours.
I've had a lot of kindness and generosity, yes, from very much from ordinary people with fivers and tenors and a cheque for £25.
Well, I think that he was not only a great man. I wasn't privy to work alongside him and work with him, but the times I did come across him, I always found him a gentleman, and always had a kind word for you when he was there. And I'm sure all the Premier League managers will be looking up to Sir Bobby and maybe Sir Alex and people of that age group who've got a lot of experience.
There is a saying in football that you can pick your friends, but you can't always choose your manager. Well, there isn't actually, but perhaps there should be. The man in charge is that important. I had the extreme good fortune to reach my peak at the same time as Bobby Robson was the England manager. 2 World Cup campaigns and a European Championship over a 6-year period was easily enough time for me to realise that Bobby was indeed not just a brilliant leader of men who brought the absolute best out of his players, but also, without question, the single most enthusiastic and passionate man I've ever met in football. But it wasn't just about football with Bobby, it was everything. I remember filming a documentary with him around his 70th birthday. He was walking me around St James's Park, where he was managing at the time. He stalled for at least 5 minutes to talk about the workmanship of the doors into one of the lounges. Feel the wood, he said. It's the finest oak you can get. Just feel the quality. It's the absolute best. He was so proud. He appreciated all that was good in life. Enthusiasm is a word that will always be associated with Sir Bobby, but it's unavoidable when you talk about him. It was always there, unquenchable and contagious. And it shone through in the way his teams played. He made you feel good about yourself and good about the game. His team talks were always emotive and had us beating down the dressing room door to...
Kieran, man of the match and a win for West Ham, but I would imagine your thoughts are elsewhere at the moment.
Yeah, of course. I only found out 5 minutes before the game that Sir Bobby had passed away. So it was probably the hardest 90 minutes I played. But he would have wanted me to play, and I'm glad I did.
Very emotional in the 1 minute silence, where you Carlton Cole had to have a word with you.
Yeah, it did hit home there that it was gone. I think back home when they, instead of doing the minute silence, I would like to see a minutes of applause, because I think we should celebrate what he brought to the game of football. He was a wonderful man. When I was at Newcastle, he took a great shine to me with the Ipswich connection, and he was like a father to me. So like I said, he was sorely missed, and I'm just glad I got through the game for him.
Why was he so special for you players?
like I said, when we were at Newcastle, we had a squad of about 25 players and everyone was happy. And in today's football, with all the multi-millionaire prima donnas, that's very hard to do, but he was just such a lovable guy. And he was a fighter. He beat cancer numerous times, and I thought he'd do it again, but unfortunately it wasn't to be.
Kieran, I appreciate it's been really difficult for you. Thanks very much for talking to us, and well done today.
Thank you.
Well, I think that he was not only a great man. I wasn't privy to work alongside him and work with him. But the times I did come across him, I always found him a gentleman, and always had a kind word for you when he was there. And I'm sure all the Premier League managers will be looking up to Sir Bobby and maybe Sir Alex and people of that age group who've got a lot of experience.
Good gentleman, great ambassador for the region, great ambassador for world football, to be honest. And I think we can all take a leaf out of his book, how it should be done.
I know a lot of footballing people, and you'll not meet anybody that's got a bad word to say about Bobby Robson, and that really counts for a lot. I think he's a wonderful man.
I got to know him quite well towards the end of his life. I always ribbed him for years and years that he'd never give me an England cap. But towards later on in life, it was a privilege to be classed as a friend of his. We had some wonderful times in Portugal, mainly on the summer holidays, and for that, I was really, really thankful that I got to know him.
They influenced me. But what made him so special? He would influence people who didn't know him. They admired his courage, his dignity, his enthusiasm. They'll still remember forever his little jig when England scored that goal in Italy. We can still see it, his hands in his pocket and he's jigging about. A fantastic moment for him. And, it's been one of the privileges of my life to have met him and to be enthused by him. And as I said at the beginning, he influenced me then.